exactly. David, I want to talk about embodied water because we talk about the use of water and the low flow shower heads and everything, but actually there's a lot of water in the products and services that in the supply chain of the hotels, which actually I think the industry is probably not even. A lot of people in this room probably are not even aware of, but the industry is certainly not tackling, I think.
With pleasure. Let me start by saying I think there's some great work going on inside organisations like Residor and Accor, really doing great things to manage water consumption at a site level. But have you ever been standing on the beach and looking the wrong way when a huge wave comes in? Because that's what I think is happening to us right now as an industry. I'm a food and drink supply chain man, so I can't talk about all the things you guys have been talking about. What I can do is talk about food and drink supply. Food and drink accounts for most of the water that is consumed in a hotel and in the hospitality and food services sector. The level of embedded water or embodied water or virtual water is the vast majority of actually what gets consumed in a property. And that requires measurement and management and collaboration in order to deliver change. And that means measurement, management and collaboration upstream in the supply chain. And let me tell you, that ain't happening. It's just not happening. And the biggest risk actually is future supply. The big risk is that food costs are going to escalate massively over the next 15 or 20 years because we won't have enough water to grow the crops we need to feed the planet. And that is a much bigger issue than some of the things we talked about already. Including, these are Accor's own numbers, by the way, including embedded water, food and drink is 86% of a hotel's water consumption. 86%. And of the other 14%, 11% is site water. So we are standing in the sea looking the wrong way here. That's what it's all about. So I'd like to start by introducing you to my lunch today. This is my lunch. I took the opportunity of going and buying an apple. How many litres of water in this apple? Any ideas? How many? 5. 70. 70 litres of water are involved in the production of this apple. Now this is a nice bag of crisps. It's nice and dry. How many litres of water involved in making this bag of crisps? 185. And then of course I had to get myself a burger, I was really tempted to eat it because it looked so good. But how much is this burger? How much water in this burger? 2,400 litres in this burger, and that's because beef is the biggest enemy of water consumption. It's huge. I did resist the temptation of actually bringing my water up on stage and putting another 1 litre on the end of it. But food and drink are massive. They're a huge part of the whole process. So what does that mean for supply chain people? Well, what it means is we have to select better suppliers who are stewarding water upstream much better and much more efficiently. We have to work with suppliers to manage their improvement with the way in which they utilise water. And that doesn't mean just the first tier. It means further up the supply chain. And we have to also plan our menus to optimise the way in which we consume water. If you put loads and loads and loads of beef on everywhere and you don't put very much vegetable on, guess what? You consume a lot more water. Now, clearly, you've got to satisfy your customer, but smart businesses already are starting to think about the way in which they plan their menus in order to change water consumption. The biggest problem of all is our industry, compared with retail, is just not set up to do this. And the reason why is because we're so fragmented. We got different ownership all over the globe. We don't have big chains like the retailers have. And as a result, our supply chains are very, very fragmented too. So you get situations. Who's staying in a nice posh London hotel tonight? Put your hand up, please. Oh, nobody's staying in a nice posh. Wow. Oh, you modest lot. You liars. If you're staying in a nice posh London hotel tonight, the chances are you will eat veg that's been bought from a London greengrocer who's gone to market and picked the product off of the market. He doesn't know where it's come from. He doesn't know how much embedded water is in that product. He doesn't even know whether it's safe, actually, and that's another issue. But that's the reality. So my assertion is that knowledge within the hospitality sector of embedded water within the supply chain is pitifully low. And if it's pitifully low, then we need to do something to change that. And I think legislation is probably the only way that that's going to change. My evidence for this, if I may, is I approached 3 major suppliers who we work with, and I asked them to give me 10 of their most recent invitations to tender. So where a company, a hospitality company said, we want to buy a load of stuff off of you, can you please quote? I got 30 documents that were offering business to a value of £42 million, and this is what I found. Let's start with origin, because where you buy your food from has a massive impact because of climate and irrigation, production techniques and technology. Those 4 things have a massive impact. So geography of where you buy stuff from has a big impact on water consumption. Were there any references to choice of origin with water as a criteria in those tender documents, 30 of them? 0. Let's talk about product range management. Meat contains a much higher level of embedded water per kilo than cereals and vegetables. So one study suggests that wheat is 1,000 litres of water and a kilo of beef is 16,000 litres of water. So was there any evidence of any of them looking at product ranging in order to reduce the impact of water? 0. Let's look at measurement. One starting point in the management of water consumption is to work with upstream supply chain to measure and manage consumption. Obvious thing to do. The number of tenders that ask for information on embedded water consumption from their suppliers, 0. So any reference to water consumption at all in 30 documents from major hospitality businesses? Any evidence? 1. And I'll read what it said. Company X, I won't name and shame them, is committed, because they were the good guys, is committed to the reduction of water consumption in its supply chain. Please state how your business manages its water consumption and what goals it has to deliver water consumption in the future. That was the only reference. And it was focusing on, as we have been, upon what that company was doing rather than the whole supply chain. And that's where the big failure exists.
Thanks, David. Call a halt there.
Okay.
James.